Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the cluster advising orientation for the Humanities cluster. My name is Alex Oloriaga. I'm one of the first year advisors here at Dornsife, and I've been joined by our amazing cluster advisors for the Humanities. I think we've got everyone in. There we go. So before we get started, please go ahead and do two things for me. The first is to scan this QR code or click the link in the chat to sign in and let us know that you're here. It helps us know how many students are attending these events and how we can best help make this event better for future. Next, please go ahead and rename yourself with your first and last name followed by your major. If you haven't renamed yourself in a while, you can click on the participants icon at the bottom of your screen, right click on the three dots, and then you will be given an option to rename yourself. Now, please note that this event is being recorded for students to watch later. Please keep yourself muted until the Q&A section. And I'll let you work on renaming yourselves, but once we've gotten all of that sorted, I want to welcome you again with a quick overview of what to expect from today. We'll be explaining your upcoming cluster transition from first year advising to cluster advising, including what to expect from cluster advising. Then we'll have a chance to hear some insights from one of our cluster advisors. You'll then be directed to join a breakout room. One second, I'll give you the, there we go. You'll then be directed to join a breakout room based on your major's focus area. We'll tell you what that means in a second. There, you will meet your cluster advising case team, find out about curricular highlights, helpful resources and opportunities, and then we'll get your questions answered by your future cluster advisors in an extra Q&A section. And then finally, you'll hear more about your next steps to prepare for sophomore year. These slides will be made available so you can access any links that you see today. Now we are going to have a quick little moment where I'm going to have you guys interact with me for a bit using the emojis in the reactions icon at the bottom of your screen. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling about how close you are to the end of your freshman year? And how are you feeling about preparing for sophomore year? Alrighty, I'm seeing some good signs. I'm not seeing any terrified faces. I like to see that. Well, we'll go ahead and give you a quick overview of what to expect from this transition. Over the last year, you have been meeting with your assigned first-year advisor. They've supported you whether you stayed in the same major from the beginning of orientation through till now, or if you've changed your major a couple of times. Now, as you make this move over into sophomore year, these continuing students will be supported by a cluster advising team. Now, that team supports you from sophomore year through graduation. And it's based on what we call focus areas. It's a grouping of very similar majors. The idea being that this team of advisors can help you if you stay in that major, or if you make a couple little shifts here and there within very similar majors. Now, if you were to switch from one focus area to another or one cluster to another, you would be reassigned to a new cluster advising case team. But again, as long as you are from sophomore year to graduation, that team will support you. So next, we're going to talk about what this transition experience is going to look like. Now, it started back in March or April, depending on when you made your mandatory pre-registration advising appointment, where we had you connect with your first-year advisor to plan classes for fall 2026. That next step is right now, very much today, where you're at cluster advising orientation, where you're going to learn what to expect from cluster advising. Now, on Thursday, we're going to have the One Dornsife Fest. This is where you're going to meet your cluster advisors in person. You'll also get connected with resources and celebrate everything that you have accomplished this year. Then in early May, You're going to get a fond farewell from your first year advisors, just letting you know how much it's been a pleasure to work with you. And then shortly afterwards, you are going to get a warm welcome from your cluster advising team, welcoming you to sophomore year. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have the One Dornside Fest coming up on Thursday. I highly recommend that you attend. This event was created for you and students like you to celebrate everything that you've accomplished this year. We will let you connect with fellow freshmen. You're also going to enjoy some In-N-Out Burger, some Dornside Advising swag, and a chance to win some pretty cool raffle prizes. Obviously, you can say hello to your first year advisors, but you will also have the opportunity to meet your new cluster advisors in person, as well as meet with some campus partners, faculty, as well as some alumni and transfer students. If you haven't already RSVP'd, we do have the RSVP QR code on the screen. We also have a link in the chat. And now I'm going to hand things off over to my colleague, Dr. Jessica Knoski, who's going to go over some things to look forward to in cluster advising.
Hi, we are so excited to have you as students in our cluster. Congratulations on getting through your first year and good luck with your finals and all your end of semester projects. So I'm basically going to kind of talk about some differences between your first year experience and what cluster advising is like. So I'm just going to go through some of these slides to get things explained. So at USC, majors are organized into academic focus areas within each cluster, and Dornsife has humanities, natural sciences, and social sciences. Each focus area has a dedicated advising team. So all of our advising team is here, and you will get to meet them on Thursday at the Fest. This team-based model ensures consistent support, shared expertise, and flexible access to advising throughout your time at Dornsife. So this means you have access to more than one advisor. So if your advisor is not available or your preferred advisor is not available and you need something done quickly or you have a quick question, you can reach out to another advisor. The humanities cluster has two focus areas: language and culture, which focuses mainly on language and some culture. And then we have the humanities, social sciences hybrid. So these are actually areas that are somewhat defined as social sciences, but have a very humanities slant to them. So something like anthropology is considered social science, but it has much of humanity going into it. So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, and here you can see the different departments that are part of each focus cluster. So each focus cluster is going to have its own set of advisors. So although we're a big area, language and culture and humanities and social sciences hybrid, there are two kind of separate areas, one that is more focused on language and culture, and one that's more focused on humanities and social science hybrid. So in the language and culture, you can see the American Studies and Ethnicity department, and in there you have a number of majors, just American Studies and Ethnicity. Then you have an African American focus, an Asian American focus, Chicano Latino focus. So a number of different majors: art history, classics, which means like ancient Roman civilization, ancient Greece, Greek, Latin, comparative literature, East Asian languages and culture, East Asian area studies, French and Italian, Latin American, Iberian cultures, media and politics department, which has two majors, one of them being the Latin American and Iberian cultures and media politics major, and the other one being Spanish. Genders and sexuality studies, Middle East studies, religion, which has archaeology, Jewish studies, and religion, and Slavic languages and literature, which has Central European studies, and Russian. So you can see we have a number of majors in this area that are either very language focused or very culture focused. And then we have the humanities, social sciences hybrid area where we have anthropology, which the department offers anthropology, global studies, health and humanity, and visual anthropology. English, which offers creative writing, English and narrative studies, history, contemporary Latino and Latin American studies, history, law, history, and culture, linguistics, which offers a number of majors, computational linguistics, linguistics and cognitive science, linguistics and East Asian languages and cultures, and linguistics and philosophy. Philosophy, which offers philosophy, politics and economics, philosophy, politics and law. And then we also have undeclared humanities. So we have quite a few number of majors, and a lot of you who are majoring in our cluster, if you are interested in maybe adding a second major or a minor, you might very well have the room for it. So, if you are interested, please go ahead and reach out. Okay, so that covers the departments. All right, so what are the differences between the cluster and the first year advising? So in first year advising, you have specific advisors who advise for all the majors within Dornsife. So you have a dedicated advisor for your first year. That's your go-to person. They can help you with anything that you need. However, when you get to the cluster advising, you have a team of advisors. But the difference is now these advisors really specialize in the departments in which you are in. So they know more about the courses that you need from sophomore year, year two to year four. So you can also choose which advisor you want to meet with or which advisor you want to open a specific case with. And then if you want to change your major completely and go outside of this cluster, then you would have a new advisor that would not be within this cluster. Okay, and the last point, students with major minors in different focus areas will have multiple advising case teams. Yes, so if you are minoring in something, let's say you want to have a minor in, I don't know, chemistry, then you would have a completely different advisor for that. It would not be your major advisor. You would have a team of advisors. Okay, so what can your cluster advisors do to help you? Obviously, they are a little bit more familiar with the departments, so they can understand major course offerings, and they are touch points between students and the departments and the faculty within that department. They can create a personalized plan for you, depending on what your interests are, and they can somewhat guide you and give you a little bit more direction. They can add a second major or minor or explore progressive degree programs, which come a little later for most. They can connect you with faculty. They have an understanding of what faculty do within the department and what their specific areas of interest might be and potential research. Study abroad. So if you're thinking about studying abroad at some point, this is definitely something that you should talk to your cluster advisor about. They will be able to help you with the timing, with course selection, with a number of things in that area. Um, if you have questions about where this might lead with the career, you can ask them about that too in preparation if you're interested in grad school. We also do have the Career Center and Career Pathways that can help you with that. Uh, Potential double majors that might be complementary, and they can absolutely refer you to a bunch of resources within the department and outside of the department, much like a first year advisor could do. And of course, they want to keep you on track for graduation. So they definitely want to know, when do you want to graduate? What do you want to do? How can we make it happen for you? Okay, so when you're looking for who your advisor is now, You can look in Advise SC and you'll see something called My Success Team, and your success team will list all the advisors who are available to you. Now, some of them, if you do have a declared minor, some of them might be minor advisors. That's a little different than major advisors. So just pay attention to exactly what you're asking for or what you're interested in, and then pick your advisor for appointments or support cases accordingly. How to communicate with your advisors. So we recommend using Advise USC support cases. It's the most efficient way to do things. This way, we also can, the team of advisors can see that you've been communicating with other advisors, and we can keep the conversation going and give our input in the conversation without having to repeat ourselves necessarily. So Advise SC is our preferred method of communication, so we're all on the same page and we all know where the conversation is and what exactly how we can support you best. You can send a message to any member on your case team, and it can take a little bit of time before we answer you, just depending, especially on what time of the semester it is and how many students we have. So it can be about 5 business days. If it's a very busy time of the semester, we might not be able to answer you immediately. But otherwise, if it's not that busy of a time, we should be able to get to you within 2 to 3 business days. And this is showing you how to connect with your cluster advisors. So when you're on Advise SC, you can see these tabs is how you would open up a support case to then start communicating with your advisor. And here basically lets you know how to fill out the different fields and how to pick an advisor with whom you want to communicate. I would suggest not opening up a case with multiple advisors, just opening up a case with one advisor should be enough. Otherwise it kind of clogs things up a little bit. And same thing with booking an appointment. You can book your appointments through Advise SC and you can choose the advisor with whom you want to have an appointment. You can meet with the same advisor if you'd like. You can meet with different advisors if you'd like. Just know that when you do meet with an advisor, if it is the same question, we will see that you have had this question before. So if you want to meet with different advisors because you have something urgent and the advisor that you like to meet with regularly isn't available, that's great. If you want to kind of see what other advisors are like, that's perfectly fine. You have the option of meeting with the same advisor at all times or meeting with different advisors. So mandatory advising, that's going to depend on a number of factors. So you do need to check to see if you have a mandatory advisement hold. So typically, once you start hearing students talking about the schedule of classes and which classes they're going to take and looking at things here and there, you should check to see if you have mandatory advising hold. If you do have a mandatory advising hold, you will need to meet with an advisor from your major cluster to have the hold lifted. And you should schedule that meeting prior to your registration date and time so that there is no holdup for your registration date and time. And announcements, you should check your announcements. I know that many of you might not really check your announcements that much, but to be honest, there are some very useful opportunities that show up on your announcements. These are things that the department wants us to publish. These are things that the college wants us to publish. And so checking your announcements regularly can really benefit you. So I would recommend doing that on a regular basis. And I think that's it for me. And I'm going to turn it up questions.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Humanities and Social Sciences Hybrid Focus Area Breakout Room. In the next slide, if you have not checked in earlier, please make sure to scan the QR code to let us know that you're here. You do not need to sign in again if you've already did so in the main session, but if you also haven't already, please update your Zoom name to reflect the major that you're in. It just helps our advisors kind of get a better understanding of the majors in the room. Now I'd like to pass it over to introduce our cluster advising case team.
Hello and welcome. I'm glad to see everybody here. My name is Melissa Calderon. And Otis, if you want to click to the next screen there we go. Uh, the advising team is going to be made up of myself, Otis Clark, and Alex Lozano. They're all here in the room, so we can all be available to answer any questions that you might have at the end. But we're all really excited to work with you this coming next few years. Okay. So just to take a quick look at the majors and minors, we have them sort of divided by department. So in green, we have anthropology. In orange, we have English. In blue, we have history. And red-ish, we have linguistics. And then philosophy in yellow. So there's a lot to look at there and a lot of great opportunities to sort of cross over some interests or really supplement certain interests with adding on a minor or something like that. So we can always talk to you about any interest that you have in other areas and sort of how those things connect. All right. So if you do have questions, problems, things you would like to explore, anything really, you want to connect with us through a support case in Advise USC. You can meet with any of us, so you can schedule an appointment or submit the support case. And you can really talk to any one of us. But in interest of time and to make things as efficient as possible, it's important to just connect with one of us for one question. You don't necessarily want to send the same question to each advisor. That way we can answer as many students as possible, meet with as many students as possible, and really be efficient with our time. So some of the questions are quick, easy answers. Some questions can be more detailed and require a little bit of research or some information gathering to kind of put some things together, or really take a look at your specific record and what requirements you've completed, what you have remaining. So sometimes things might take a little bit of time to go through. So answers may be a little bit delayed. And as Dr. Kanofsky said earlier, it will also depend on the time of the semester. Sometimes we are in the middle of mandatory advising, for example, and if there's definitely going to be a little bit of a delay. All right, to start, these are going to be some things to really look at and consider and pay attention to during sophomore year. For anthropology, if you're an anthropology or visual anthropology major, once you've completed at least 8 units of anthropology coursework, your history of anthropological theory, and it's available this fall. It is a fall course right now, so your next opportunity would be the following fall. And then you want to continue on with your anthropology electives, including both lower and upper division courses. For global studies majors, I believe everybody has completed Anthropology 205 by this point. If not, you'll need to request enrollment, and you'll do that through the anthropology email. You want to include the course name, your full name, major, minor, and your USC ID number. In spring 2007, it's recommended that you take Anthropology 325, Global Studies Research. It's going to introduce you to the methods for field research, international settings, including ethnography, working in archives, surveying, and documentation, and really also start to consider how you want to continue to add to that through study abroad or other areas as you progress through your major requirements. Professor Emily Zemer is our Director of Undergraduate Studies. She's available via email. Her email is there, and you'll get the slides later, so you'll have access to this. And then you can use the link at the bottom there to explore some options for your experiential learning and study abroad opportunities. Okay. The English major requires 40 units total with at least 28 units of upper division coursework. So you do want to pay attention to that difference between the lower division and upper division options. For the curriculum piece, you want to make sure that you're completing English 240 or 270, depending on your major, before you take most of the upper division coursework. And kind of looking ahead with resources and opportunities, there is the honors program, and you have the option to apply for the English honors program in senior year. You need to have a 3.5 GPA minimum and have completed the English 491 senior seminar. Study abroad and Maymester opportunities. English students frequently study abroad through overseas studies. There's a number of different overseas studies fairs that go on and information sessions, and you can always schedule an appointment with an overseas studies advisor to check in with them about different opportunities and speak with us as well. The Maymester programs, those are going to be short, kind of study abroad experiences, where it's mostly going to be within that May timeframe from after commencement to the end of May, just the beginning of June. And so they're pretty intense time periods, and many are kind of internationally based as far as travel. So it's a nice opportunity to have a brief study abroad if you want to include that. You can pair that with a whole semester abroad, or you can just choose one or the other. For the history department, those in the history major, History 201 Approaches to History is the foundation course for the major. So you will want to plan to take that this coming year if you haven't been able to get that into your schedule yet. It can fill up a little quickly, or it can also conflict with other courses. So if you do need to delay it a little bit, that's perfectly fine. But you do want to try to make that a priority if you can. For law, history, and culture, just a reminder that only 2 lower division courses are permitted for the major. One can be in historical approaches, and the other can be in social movement, social policy. That's a great way to knock out a couple of your GE requirements if you need to. There's some great options there that also double with the global perspectives areas. The department, when I made this slide, we were in the process of adding the following courses, but they are actually on the schedule of classes now. History 211 and History 386. Both of those are in historical approaches. And then just a reminder, because you may have noticed that there's not always a ton of courses available for the major. So the course offerings fluctuate semester to semester, sort of based on departmental needs for all of the departments that make up that interdisciplinary major. The major only requires 9 courses, so there's plenty of time if you're focusing on 1 or 2 courses per semester. Plenty of time for you to get those done and still graduate on time, not have any need for summer coursework to make that up or anything like that. Professor Lindsay O'Neill is the Director of Undergraduate Studies in History, and she hosts a weekly coffee tea hour each semester for all the majors. Day and time are announced at the start of the semester, and I would recommend subscribing to the History Department Substack. There's a lot of different information that's provided throughout the semester regarding events and things that we have going on, and then also the time for the coffee tea hour will be listed at the beginning of the semester. So you're welcome to come and hang out, get some caffeine, especially leading up to finals. And then also just participate in anything that looks interesting to you as well. All right. So linguistics, the department offers linguistics, computational linguistics, and several combined majors. As far as curriculum, Ling 210, the Intro to Linguistics is a prerequisite or recommended preparation, which means it's not mandatory, but strongly recommended for your success for most of the upper division Ling courses, including Ling 415, even though it's not yet listed in the catalog. All the majors require completion of a capstone experience, and that can be either a research paper in Linguistics 497 or another 400 level Ling course, a poster presentation, or an approved internship. Resources and opportunities for linguistics include departmental honors, which is open to all students in the linguistics department. Majors, they require the completion of all the major requirements with an upper division major GPA of 3.5 and the honors thesis course, which is Ling 497. Undergraduate students in linguistics is the department's undergraduate student organization, and they regularly meet in GFS. All right, and then we have philosophy. The School of Philosophy offers 3 majors, philosophy generally, philosophy, politics, and law, and philosophy, politics, and economics. As far as curriculum, students are recommended to complete the logic requirement early, and the gateway requirement is designed to be taken before the other upper division major coursework, specifically any of the 400 level philosophy courses. Just want to have a good foundation there. And then resources and opportunities. Departmental honors are open to students in all the majors, require completion of all the major requirements with an upper division major GPA of 3.5, and the honors capstone, which is philosophy 495 in the spring of senior year. All right. And
Thank you, Melissa.
Jessica, is this you?
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes, it
wasn't sure this
is.
was a transition.
Yes, this is. Okay, so thank you, Melissa, for presenting the different department opportunities. Hopefully, you all have kind of found some opportunities to explore within your department. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about the next steps of what's going to happen after this orientation. So, as mentioned in the main session, tomorrow, oh, not tomorrow, sorry. Thursday. I'm a little early, sorry. The day after tomorrow, on Thursday, we are gonna have the One Dornside Fest happening. Um that you can RSVP on and Engage SC. I'm also gonna put the link in the chat again if you have not RSVP'd in the event. We're gonna have in and out, some Dornside swag, raffle prizes, and an opportunity to connect with campus partners, faculty, alums, and your fellow peers as well. This is also the first chance to connect with your cluster advising team in person. They look a lot better in person. I'm just kidding. They look great online and in person, but you don't get the vibes online, so you really get the vibes in person. So definitely go and meet them in person. And yeah, you can also scan the QR code on the top there as well. Now, some other things are please make sure to check your email on May 4th. It is going to have our first year advising newsletter, May edition, with additional tips. They'll have some transition related reminders, links of the recording of today's session, and also other useful resources to help prepare for your sophomore year. And as the semester comes to a close, look for an email and Advise USC announcement from your first year advisor. They're going to say goodbye and give you a fond farewell. And then shortly after, you'll then get a welcome email and also an Advise USC announcement from your new cluster advising case team. And then that's your cue to officially start working with your cluster advisors from that day until graduation. So then your transition experience will be complete. And then I believe in our next slide, if you could all just do us a favor and share your feedback with us. These responses are anonymous, and we just want to make sure we can help improve the transition experience for future students. It's a very quick survey, so we would really appreciate it if you help submit some feedback. So I am gonna leave that slide up for a minute. And then if anyone does have questions in the meantime, you can either share in the chat. I can ask it out loud. In a minute, we are going to transition to kind of Q&A. to see if you all have any questions about your major specifically or your department specifically that the cluster advisors can answer. And then